It's the fastest, most unpredictable speedway on Earth.
Iron made this place. Mined, smelted, forged. And every spring, we gather round and celebrate. Iron sharpening iron.
Oh, he gets tattooed!
But in order to take it all home, you need nerves of steel. The big one is back. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be back with you in our studios in Tuscaloosa for today's show, as it's a busy time. It is spring break on campus in the University of Alabama, but of course our spring sports schedule in full swing, with basketball and baseball being the focus of our show today. We'll start by taking a look at what's coming up on the show, plus our headlines, thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They give us a smart board to go through everything coming up on the show today. First things first, we'll check out some courtside cam highlights. What a great comeback victory for the men's basketball team on Senior Day against Arkansas. We'll look back to all the fun from Saturday at Coleman Coliseum for what was the final time this season for Alabama men's or women's basketball. Then we'll be talking with, of course, a prominent figure in our courtside cam highlights. That is Bryan, our color analyst, as he'll be describing what he's seen from the Crimson Tide so far this year and what needs to happen at the SEC tournament this weekend in Nashville, plus the NCAA tournament. Then we'll close things out by talking with Will Hodo, the first baseman for the Alabama baseball team, as we have a lot of excitement in Tuscaloosa for baseball to start its SEC schedule coming up tomorrow and all weekend long against Tennessee. We'll start our look at Tide athletics and our headlines by taking a look first at men's basketball. I mentioned that great comeback victory against the Arkansas Razorbacks, 92-88, the final score from Saturday. Now this weekend, playing in the SEC tournament, Crimson Tide, the number 3 seed, will be playing pretty late night coming up on Friday against possibly Florida or Georgia. So we look forward to that matchup coming up for Alabama, and then hopefully on to the semifinals, possibly against Kentucky, then possibly on to the finals against Tennessee. Tide Revenge Tour, as Nick Pringles talked about. Maybe that will be in store for the Crimson Tide coming up this weekend, and then it will be Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday evening. Mark Sears getting all the accolades you can think of. First team All-SEC. He's also received some All-American honors. Great to see that for Mark Sears. Take a look at the Crimson Tide softball team this past weekend. Started conference play on a Saturday through Monday series against Florida. Went 1-2 over the weekend. Now last night, the Alabama softball team made a bit of a road stop in Tallahassee as they went on the road first. They're going to be at Georgia this weekend, but taking on a great Florida State team. Picked up a 4-1 victory, so you love seeing that for the Crimson Tide softball team. Now this weekend, Georgia, 5th-ranked team in the country. It's going to be a tall order coming up in Athens, but Alabama looks ready to go after what we saw last night with that win against FSU. Crimson Tide currently ranks number 14 in the country. So the Crimson Tide softball team, of course, starting SEC play last week. The baseball team getting ready to start it this weekend, as last weekend had a good tune-up against Lipscomb, went 3-0, that doubleheader on Saturday, and then the final game on Sunday. Tuesday went on the road to Hattiesburg, where Alabama's now lost 4 straight games at Pete Taylor Park. Southern Miss got the 9-7 win against the Crimson Tide on Tuesday night, despite a really good 5th-inning rally for Alabama. This weekend, home against the Tennessee Volunteers in what's a top 15 matchup. Alabama ranked at number 15, Tennessee as high as number 6. Should be an outstanding weekend series. Hoping to dodge weather coming up tomorrow, but then Saturday and Sunday look great weather-wise. So make sure you make plans to join us on the right field terrace. If you always wanted to be a right field ranger, can't get into the student section, this is your chance coming up this weekend as spring break wraps up for Alabama students. Some other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. The women's basketball team, of course, last week saw the SEC tournament be one and done in the quarterfinals against Tennessee, but coming up, women's basketball will have its Selection Sunday show at 7 p.m. Crimson Tide currently projected as either an 8 or a 9 seed. Swimming and diving, 8 are headed to the NCAA championships after a great run at SEC, so roll tide to that. In golf, Cannon Claycomb and Alabama finished runner-up at the Haight Invitational earlier in the week. Some great golf from one of our good friends on this show, Cannon Claycomb. And then gymnastics, Jamison Sears, SEC co-specialist of the week, as she had a tremendous performance for the Crimson Tide at the quad meet to round out everything for Alabama athletics. So, for us, next on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we want to take a look back to Coleman Coliseum on Saturday morning. A really fun day as Alabama held Senior Day for the men's basketball team and posted a win against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Here's a look back at our courtside cam highlights from Alabama's win over Arkansas in men's basketball.
Gets it into the front court, flips it over to Diabate. Diabate back to Nelson, fires into the corner. Reitzel, catch and shoot, three, bottom. Sears trying to get open, does. Catch and shoot in the corner, three. That's a nice way to come out of a timeout on a bank first three for the Crimson Tide. Stops, looks, gives it off to Walters. Walters back to Sears. Sears to Pringle, back to Sears. Right wing, three, bottom. Great work right there by the Tide. Mark will get it front court with Bama down 11. Pringle stopping, top of the arc. Back to Sears, all alone, three, bottom. Take that chance all day long. Mark Sears, a third, bank first three.
We haven't seen that enough. Defense leading to offense.
Reitzel on the drive, flips it over to Estrada left wing, over to Reitzel. He'll drive down the lane, puts it up, reverse, got it to go. What a move, Latrell Reitzel. Bama will pick it up, give it off to Estrada. Kicks it in the corner. Reitzel lets a defender fly by, steps to his right, shoots a three and buries it. Estrada to Reitzel, steps into a three, bottom. Latrell Reitzel Jr., a one-point game. Estrada driving, goes down the lane, steps through, off the glass and in. It's a one-point game. 5:20 remaining here in Tuscaloosa. Sears playing off of a screen, driving, kicking in the corner, Nelson. He'll let it go from three. Bottom. Huge make there for Alabama. Every possession matters. Reitzel for three. Bottom. Huge make, Latrell Reitzel. Alabama to within four again with 2:26 to go. Defense, fellas, let's get a stop. He'll drive and dish to Nelson in the corner for three. Bottom, he did it again. Brant Nelson is second. Bank first three in the last 2 minutes. Going downhill, hands it off Mitchell. Missed the dunk. Rebound claimed by Bama. Nelson flips it ahead Estrada. Estrada spinning left, giving it off to Pringle. Pringle to Sears. Sears out to Reitzel. Fakes a three. Steps back for the tie. Bottom. Let's start over. Tied at 74. 20 seconds remain. Arkansas can hold it for the last shot. At 4, at 3, at 2, at the buzzer, short. It is out of time. OT we go. Great effort, Alabama. Tying it for the first time since we started, and we are headed to overtime in the regular season finale. Kicks it over to Walters for three. Hallelujah. Sam Walters. First make in a month, it feels like, for that fella, but he buries it when Bama needed it most. 78-76 with 3:15 to go in overtime.
What a huge shot by the freshman.
No good. Rebound, Walters claims it, puts it up, got it. Sam Walters, back-to-back buckets, a three, and then a rebound to lay it in, and Alabama leads by 2. Mark against Nelson, lost it. Grant took it away. Here comes Bama. Mark Sears to the rim, lays it in. Bama by 4. Reitzel on the wing, driving to the elbow. Reitzel stopping, backing it out, throws it down low. The catch, the flush from Pringle. Great job by Reitzel, backing it out, drawing the defense away, and then Sears checked that Pringle with a flush.
Patient and poised. The veteran on senior night makes a big play.
Reitzel off the screen, works inside the arc, works down the lane, works to the paint, works it in. Oh, mercy! What a play, Latrell Reitzel, running off the hip of Nick Pringle. And Bama leads by 4, 25 seconds remaining. Battle, up top, three, brick, caught by Nelson. Bama with 20 seconds to go, has it up by 4. Latrell front court. Latrell had it poked away. A scramble, out of bounds. Sit down, folks, I can't see. Thank you. Bama's got to hurry. They get it into Mark. Mark will flip it ahead. Walters will drive in to the rack for the flush. Bama by 4 with 3 seconds to go. Hogs throw it ahead. Let them battle. Deep three. It's no good. It's no good. Let's get out of here. Bama wins it. 92-88 in overtime. Strike up the band.
Alabama racing is back. Don't miss the opportunity to experience the NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega. Witness the return of racing on April 21st and be a part of NASCAR's biggest and baddest track. From the blistering speed on the track to the unparalleled fan access of the Talladega Garage experience, there is something for everyone to enjoy. Tickets are on sale now. Secure your seats today at TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. Well, as you saw in the courtside cam highlights, Bryan Passink gets really motivated for Alabama to do well, living and dying on every single play. That's what makes him such a great part of our broadcast team as the color analyst, along with Chris Stewart on play-by-play for Alabama men's basketball. He's gearing up for a busy weekend coming up this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee for the SEC tournament, a tournament where Alabama has had success not just through the years, but especially in the Nate Oates era. So to preview the SEC tournament and what's ahead for the Crimson Tide, we say hello and roll tide to Bryan Passink. Bryan Passink, we know this is one of your favorite weeks of the year.
Oh, it's the best. Love the SEC tournament. This time of year, it just doesn't get any better, and love when the tournament's in Nashville. So looking forward to getting there and watching some great basketball. I think the SEC is the best basketball league in America from top to bottom. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It really will be. And for the Crimson Tide, Alabama earned a double bye, the number 3 seed for this event. Just if you could, just kind of walk us through the journey this team has been on all throughout the year.
Well, it's been an incredible season. And if you would have told me before the season that Alabama would finish tied for second in the SEC with a double bye and have a chance to make a run in Nashville and be locked in to the NCAA tournament, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. When you consider all that was lost, you had Brandon Miller, maybe the best player in program history, goes to the NBA. Noah Clowney, a couple guys transfer out. You've got an entirely new coaching staff with all 3 former assistants getting head coaching jobs. For Nate Oates to have this program right back where it's been since he's been in Tuscaloosa is just amazing. And Nate Oates is coming into this year was considered one of the top coaches in college basketball. But in my opinion, this has been his best coaching job because it was a lonely coach's office in the spring after the season because of his guys getting head coaching jobs. And he's been able to go to the portal and get some of the best players transfers in and a top 10 recruiting class. And to be able to mesh that together with an entirely new staff is amazing. It's one of the reasons he's being considered for a National Coach of the Year, along with several others. But he's done one of the best coaching jobs in college basketball this year.
Yeah, speak to us for a moment about the new assistant coaches that you've gotten to know over the course of this past year, Ryan Pannone, Austin Clonch, Preston Murphy, and the roles they've kind of fit into with this staff.
Well, this staff is as good as it gets in college basketball because you go and get a guy like Ryan Pannone, who was a former G League head coach of the Birmingham Squadron, so very familiar with this area. He was on the bench for the New Orleans Pelicans as an NBA assistant. So it's not often that you can go to the NBA and get an established former head coach and assistant like Ryan Pannone, and he's been a huge addition to this staff in so many different ways. Austin Clonch is another example of a guy that maybe before Nate Oates was at Alabama that you're probably not going to be able to lure a sitting head coach to an assistant coach's position. But Austin Clonch was his conference coach of the year a couple of times and comes over and is doing a great job on the court and off as a recruiter. And Preston Murphy, considered one of the best recruiters in college basketball as an assistant coach over the years, and also a great X's and O's guy. So this staff is as good as it gets in college basketball. And because of guys like Charlie Henry and Antoine Petway and Brian Hodgson, because of the job that they did and what they did, even in leaving, going and getting Division I head coaching jobs, all 3 of those guys did a great job this year and had terrific seasons, by the way. The fact that they had so much success as assistants and now head coaches, you're able to attract some of the best, not just assistant coaches in the game, but some of the best, a head coach in Austin Clonch, an NBA assistant in Ryan Pannone. So this staff is top notch in college basketball. Nate Oates considered one of the best coaches in the country, and now he has a staff that's considered one of the best as well.
The accolades keep rolling in for Mark Sears. We know how vital he's been to this Crimson Tide team this year, but now an All-American and All-SEC performer. Just how important of a role has he played? Where would Alabama be without Mark Sears this season?
Well, he's been terrific. I think he's been one of the best players, not just in the SEC, but in college basketball, and was so happy for him to get first-team All-SEC honors and All-American honors. was one of the front runners for SEC Player of the Year. And I think in a normal year, he might have won that award. Dalton Knecht was terrific down the stretch. And considering Tennessee won the league, I don't have a problem with Knecht winning that award. But Mark Sears was right there all year long, leading the SEC in scoring. And happy for him that a guy that was a little bit under the radar coming into the season as a preseason second team all SEC guy is now getting All-American honors. And listen, it's, as you know, Roger, it's far from a one-man show, but Mark Sears has been leading the way for this Alabama team. And for a guy that most didn't think was good enough to play in the SEC, for him to go to Ohio, have the career that he had there, transfer back home to the great state of Alabama, and do what he's done in a couple of seasons is amazing. And I think he's put himself in a position to play in the NBA one day. Now, I hope he comes back. He was honored at senior day. He does have eligibility left. So I think Nate Oates will hold a scholarship for him if he decides to come back. That's to be determined. But Mark Sears has clearly made himself through hard work and the talent that he has, developing that talent in Tuscaloosa, has made himself into one of the best players in college basketball.
Really love to see that for Mark Sears, as this roster is getting closer to being fully healthy. Latrell Wrightsell Jr. coming back. We know Rylan Griffin has been out as well with injury, but just where do things stand for those guys getting ready for this SEC tournament? How important will they be for Alabama?
Well, I think for this team, the most important thing is health. And you could see the last 4 or 5 games of the season how important Latrell Wrightsell has been to this team. And even in his absence, they didn't play as well. And Mark Sears leads the team, and the accolades that he's gotten are well-deserved. But nobody has progressed more over the course of the season than Latrell Wrightsell. Before he went out with a head injury, was leading the SEC in three-point percentage. One of the best, obviously one of the best shooters in college basketball, but an underrated defender, an underrated ball handler. He is a veteran that really, when he was playing well, this team was playing well, and his loss was a big deal for this Alabama team. Fortunately, you were able to win a couple of games without him, but with him, we see how valuable he's been with what he did against Arkansas and securing the double bye for Alabama. He was huge throughout that game, but especially late. So great to have him back. And maybe the most important thing about getting the double bye is getting guys healthy, like Rylan Griffin, who did not play in that game, went out with a lower leg injury in the game against Florida. Hopefully he'll be back Friday against what a lot of people think would be the Florida Gators. They still have to win a second round game. But if Rylan's back and healthy, Latrell looks to be full speed, I think this Alabama team has a great chance to make a long run, not just in Nashville, but in the NCAA tournament.
Speaking of the matchups we could see coming up this weekend, obviously a lot depends on the games before that. But again, the Florida Gators, a potential first-round opponent, quarterfinal opponent for the Crimson Tide. The game in Tuscaloosa was a thriller, went to overtime. Alabama got the win. It was a very quick turnaround after the Tennessee game to go to Gainesville. A tough loss for the Crimson Tide. What would you expect if we do get that round 3 matchup between Alabama and Florida?
Yeah, if that's how it plays out, I think our guys would be super excited to play Florida on a neutral floor after a couple hard-fought games, especially the one in Tuscaloosa. And you mentioned that was a tough spot going to Gainesville, quick turnaround after an emotional day and night against the Tennessee Vols just a couple days before. And that's why I think health is so important. I think Alabama would love a shot at Florida fully healthy. Now, we don't know if that's the case, if Rylan Griffin will be 100% healthy or even available in the game on Friday. But I know the guys will be excited. And health is so important this time of year. And regardless, I think Alabama will be more healthy than they were at the end of the season.
Obviously, Tennessee, the 1 seed. Kentucky, the number 2 seed, just beat Tennessee last Saturday in Knoxville. How well are the Wildcats playing right now? We know it was a tough day in Lexington for the Crimson Tide a few weeks ago.
Well, a lot of people are talking about Tennessee as a potential Final Four team and national champion. I'm not sure that Kentucky is not playing better than anybody in the SEC. They proved it on Saturday in Knoxville. Obviously, a very difficult place to play against a really good team. But Kentucky is really hitting their stride. They're young, as they typically are under John Calipari, but They're starting to defend at a higher level. They shoot it so well from the 3-point line. This is one of the best shooting Kentucky teams that we've seen in decades. So they're a team that could stay in Nashville a while and also in the NCAA tournament. The thing that makes the SEC so good is you look from about 1 through 6, and I think all 6 of those teams in the top 6 could make a run to the second weekend or better. If you told me and you just picked a team out of a hat like a Florida, Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina, if any of those teams end up as an elite in the Elite Eight or a Final Four, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think that's why some people in the national media consider the SEC to be the best league in the country.
We talked about it at the jump. It's one of your favorite weeks of the year, the SEC tournament. And for Alabama in the Nate Oates era, this has to be one of the favorite settings for college basketball. Bridgestone Arena. Unreal memories we've built over the last few years here in this tournament and playing in Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, we've jokingly called it Natesville. You know, Nate Oates is 10-0 in the city of Nashville, have not lost there. His only SEC tournament loss came at Tampa a couple years ago. It's usually in Nashville. And Nate Oates and Alabama basketball have been so good in that building at Bridgestone, and hopefully that continues. And last year is one of the great memories in Alabama basketball history is Bama beat Texas A&M in the championship game, and it felt like Coleman Coliseum. I mean, it was 95% Alabama fans rocking, and I think a lot of Bama fans will travel north to Nashville, and hopefully it'll be another great setting, and hopefully it'll be a long stay.
We look forward to it. Bryan Passink, thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels to Nashville. Best of luck with you and Chris and Tom coming up on the call starting on Friday for the Crimson Tide of the SEC tournament. Roll Tide. Thank you.
Roll Tide. Thanks, Roger.
Iron made this place. But in order to take it all home, you need nerves of steel. The big one is back. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Best of luck to Bryan Passink in Natesville coming up for the SEC men's basketball tournament. Again, Alabama will start its run in the quarterfinals as one of the late games coming up on Friday, and then Saturday in the semis, Sunday hopefully in the championship game right before the selection show for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. We will shift gears now to baseball for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama off to a tremendous start this year, 15-2 on the season. Huge part of the success has been the play of first baseman Will Hodo, who joins us for a one-on-one conversation. And Will Hodo had his best game of the plate on Saturday as he drove in 7 total runs for Alabama against Lipscomb. Jim Dunaway was on the call for us for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and we'll let Jim Dunaway introduce our next guest here on the show, Will Hodo.
They're going to shift now on the 1-2 up the middle. This one's jacked hit hard. Going. Hodo! He's done it again. Another home run. Will Hodo takes that one almost to the entrance of Coleman Coliseum.
Will, Roll Tide, how have you been enjoying your junior season here at Alabama?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, it's fun when you're 15-2, so it's been a blast. We're loving having Coach Vaughn as our leader, and just ready to get it started, honestly.
It really has been a great start to the season for the Crimson Tide, and let's go back even to earlier this week, taking on Southern Miss, just about 30 minutes away from your hometown of Waynesboro, Mississippi. How meaningful was it to play in Hattiesburg with so many friends and family there?
It meant a lot to me. I mean, a lot of my family got to come, and people I hadn't seen in a long time, so it was really cool. It was a place I watched a lot of games growing up, so it was cool to get to go back there and play.
Really was good to see. And for you, again, from Mississippi, you made the decision to join the Crimson Tide. Take us back to your high school recruitment. What stood out about Alabama years ago?
Just the people around the program really stood out to me. Like, I could just tell that it was a little bit different around Alabama. Like, people just cared. Even when I was being recruited, like, they weren't having the greatest seasons ever, but I could tell there was room for growth. And as it's shown since I've been in college, we've gotten a lot better, and the schools that were recruiting me, I mean, I was kind of choosing between Alabama and Mississippi State, and so it was a dream of mine to play at Mississippi State, but when Alabama started recruiting me, I mean, it just stood out. They were just different, so, and I'm happy with the decision I made.
Certainly glad you chose the Crimson Tide. And for you, of course, a great player in high school and in Mississippi, but then you come to Alabama. Now you're having to kind of play your way off the bench at times, getting some pinch hit opportunities. How'd you manage all of that as a freshman and a sophomore?
It really helped to have older guys that you could lean on and talk to for support, advice. Like specifically, I had guys around me like Tommy Seidel. I mean, it's hard to beat a Harvard grad when you need advice from somebody, and he had been there before, so it made it really easy to understand things when you come from a high school where you've always been the best player on your team, and now everybody else is also the best player on their high school team. And it's just one of those things you have to come to understand, that you're fighting for your spot every day against people who are just as talented as you.
You were one of the younger guys on a group of old guys last year that played for the Crimson Tide and led Alabama to a super regional. Just how did you navigate all the ups and downs of a season like last year was?
Well, their seasons don't get made like last year every year. So we definitely had some ups and downs, but I mean, I started out of the lineup and made my way into it, and then by the end of the season, I was back out of it. So I mean, it's just one of those things where you've got to be so invested in the team rather than your own personal success. So if you get caught up in your personal success when you're kind of in and out or struggling or anything, like you're not going to help the team at all. So you just got to really invest yourself in the team and not in yourself.
You mentioned Tommy Seidel. How special was that group of veterans on last year's team, along with Jim Jarvis, Drew Williamson, Andrew Pinkney, Caden Rose? I mean, again, a special group that got Alabama to a place it's wanted to be at for a while.
Oh, I mean, they were unreal. Like obviously you saw it on the field. Those guys they could flat out play, but at the same time, they were all just great dudes. Like they were the kind of guys that you want to be around on the field, off the field. And I mean, like Drew Williamson, I was behind him at first base last year, and just getting to learn from him in practice every day has definitely made me a better player.
I almost did a double take when I first saw you at first base this year because you are now wearing the number 18, which Drew wore for a long time at Alabama. What went behind the number change from 1 to 18?
Well, I mean, I had a feeling I'd be playing first base, and I just didn't really feel like one fit me anymore. And we got a new coaching staff, so I figured it'd be a fresh start for me too.
That's certainly good. What was it like getting to know Coach Vaughn and, of course, Coach Anthony Papio as well as they started to come in? Coach Morrison, along with Jason Jackson, who you knew from before. But what were some of those initial meetings like with those guys?
Well, there wasn't I wouldn't say there was too much getting to know. Like there were some phone calls over the summer, things like that. But more than anything, just I knew that if Coach Jackson trusted Coach Vaughn to be our head coach, then he was definitely going to be what we needed. So when I got back to school after summer ball, like it was just kind of here we go. And obviously, like he speaks for himself. Like he's a coach that you can trust and just a guy that you can get behind. And that staff, like Pap, he's made everybody on our team a better player, and it's just easy to get behind those guys.
It really is. And you mentioned your summer ball experience. Where'd you play last summer? How'd that help get you ready for the fall and the spring?
I was in Hillsburg, California, Hillsburg Perm Packers, and I was there with Pierce George and Will Portera, and it's just a great place to play summer ball. You're in wine country, and you got a coach and Joey Gomes who just knows the game. He knows hitting, and he really just simplifies the game of baseball for everybody who plays for him, and it just makes the game really fun when you're playing for Joey Gomes and the Packers.
And then fall ball, which team were you on? Were you with the, what was it, Gumps or Yellowhammers?
Oh, I was on the Yellow Hammers. Oh,
Did
yeah.
you like that experience, how they kept you all separate for so long and then brought you together once this season started?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. So it really made for competition. So I've never really felt pressure to perform in the fall, but when you're out there playing against the same team for however long the fall is, like 10 weeks, something like that. Like you go out there and play against those guys and you get to the Fall World Series and it means something, and it's just a blast.
Well, we really enjoyed seeing this infield come together, and it's been nearly the same starting infield as the season's gone along. I'll go around the diamond with you for a second. First of all, what do you see from Matt Cassetti and how he works with Alabama's pitchers and really runs the game?
No, I mean Max unbelievable behind the plate. Like I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many times I see him make a block that just shouldn't be as easy as he makes it, and he just makes it look unbelievably easy, and ball won't even kick away from him, and he just keeps it. He doesn't give up free 90s ever, and when there's a runner on first, they're probably not getting the second by stealing. So it's fun to have a guy like that as your catcher, because I mean you can count on him. He still strikes for our pitchers. Pitchers love throwing to him. Just a great dude to have behind the plate.
Then how about the guys at the middle? You've known Bryce Evelyn for a long time. He's really settled in well. He's healthy. He's playing at second base. And then Justin LeBron's come in as a shortstop and made just some outstanding plays so far, in addition to swinging a great bat.
Oh yeah, LeBron kid's unreal. I mean, you can see that from these first few games that he's played. I mean, he just goes out there and competes every day. You know what you're going to get from him. He's consistent, and that's crazy to say from a freshman in the SEC. I mean, the kid just goes out there. He gives you everything he's got every day, and I mean, he's going to be an outstanding player through his career here at Alabama.
That's good to see. Then over at third base, Gage Miller has been playing well at third base, and also the top of the order. He's got to give you a lot of confidence when you see him leading off an inning, followed by TJ McCants. I mean, the top of the order has provided a lot of pop for this team.
No, absolutely. So Gage, if you came to a fall scrimmage, you probably saw Gage hit a leadoff home run. So, I mean, just watching him hit throughout the fall and in this early spring, I think he's probably hitting 500. So it's just crazy to see somebody do that. And I'm just pumped and more excited than I could even tell you to see what he's going to do in SEC play, because you haven't even seen the best of Gage Miller yet.
Well, I look forward to seeing that hopefully this weekend against Tennessee. You're going to Georgia next weekend. How excited are you for the start of conference play? Obviously, you've gotten to be around it in your first 2 years here in Tuscaloosa, but now to be an everyday starter at first base, I'm sure you're thrilled to get this ride going.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped to do it. So last year I got a little taste of it. I was starting for the first probably half of SEC play and DHing most of the time, but it's just gonna be a little bit different actually being out there playing first base. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Obviously, your name Will Hodo, so Big Doe, I imagine, comes off of that, your nickname. Who was the first person around Alabama that called you that?
Golly. So I want to say that went back to my freshman year. I'm pretty sure it was Camden Hayslip who started calling me that. So that's been around a while, but it really caught on this year.
That's really good. Well, fans have enjoyed watching you get off to a great start this year, Will. Just thank you so much for your time here with us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Best of luck against Tennessee and all throughout SEC play. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I appreciate it.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR. Don't miss out on your chance to see the stars of NASCAR take on Talladega on April 21st. Defending Geico 500 winner Kyle Busch and former Cup Series champion Chase Elliott will be fighting for a spot in victory lane among the rest of the pack. Don't miss out on all the action. Purchase your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Also, make sure you check out Visit Tuscaloosa. Visit Tuscaloosa is your go-to resource for all things Tuscaloosa. Check out their events calendar at visittuscaloosa.com. The half marathon's coming up on Saturday, March 21st. Visit tuscaloosahalf.com for more information. Busy events coming up all around the state, including here in Tuscaloosa coming up this weekend. It's time to take a look at what's coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network with our weekend update presented by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We're glad to be back in studio, have our pickle chips and relish with us. You can add more to your tailgate at wicklespickles.com. Again, they're wickedly delicious. Let's see what's coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network this weekend. Well, tomorrow it all starts for the Crimson Tide baseball team. SEC play against the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, weather permitting, the series will hopefully start at 6 p.m. coming up tomorrow. But Saturday and Sunday, the weather forecast looks good for Alabama baseball at home against Tennessee. 7 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Also coming up tomorrow, the softball team starting its series against the Georgia Bulldogs, a Friday through Sunday series with the 2 games on Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. And then men's basketball, really hoping for a great weekend in Nashville coming up for the Crimson Tide. Hopefully the semifinal game on Saturday and then the Sunday championship game. And then don't forget the selection show for men's and women's basketball also coming up on Sunday night. We have a watch party coming up at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa for the men's basketball show and the selection show to see where the Crimson Tide will be heading to the NCAA tournament, as we could have some great student athletes there as well. Bud Light's a great sponsor of the event. That'll be coming up on Sunday from 4 to 6 at Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa. And then the very next night, Baumhauer's will be busy again with Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance, coming up from 6 to 7, as Nate Oates will be previewing what's coming up for Alabama in the NCAA tournament. Again, that's all coming up here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Our upcoming schedule, always brought to you by Wickles Pickles. That's going to do it for this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guest, Will Hodo of Alabama Baseball, as well as our color analyst, Bryan Passink, getting us thoughts on Alabama ahead of the SEC tournament. Thanks to Ethan Carabin, our producer, who put this entire show together, and thanks to all of you for watching. Now let's have a great weekend of Alabama athletics. Baseball home against Tennessee, softball on the road against Georgia, and men's basketball playing in the SEC tournament. Should be a lot of fun. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching, and roll Tide.